week. Sorry we haven't been streaming. We've had some sick kids in the house. Well, shit, everybody's been sick. Influenza A hit us hard. But we're back tonight for new Mission Mania. Hopefully we'll be back Friday morning, but we will definitely be back streaming Friday night as Triple Threat takes Gateway. Good old St. Louis. We've got Greg in the house with us tonight. Kevin, unfortunately, is also sick. He's gonna go ahead and go to bed tonight. He's not feeling well. Thank God Greg is good to go. How you doing tonight, Greg? Ugh.
I'm doing good. Just sorry, I thought you were getting ready to say something else there, but got the Phillies game on in the background on mute, just keeping an eye on that. Yeah, otherwise just trying to figure out what was going on in that Mania race. It wasn't terrible, but we had some wild cards in there.
I feel like it kind of caps off the week we've been having here, at least at my place. So, like, you know how we normally go out and get a drink afterwards? I went ahead and just brought down the whole damn mason jar tonight.
Yeah, I've had heartburn here the last couple of days, so I'm taking the night off from that. I even got like an ice cube mold thing that I was going to use for. I've made like some big ice cubes that won't melt as fast, whatnot. But figure I better not.
Oh man,
Better not test.
My wife got me those the rocks. You just
Yeah.
throw them in the freezer. God, those things are awesome. So, God, man, Kevin not being here, it's unfortunate. Before we get into the NASCAR stuff, let's just cover, since Kevin's not here. Triple Threat last week, I don't know if you saw it. No, you were racing, right?
I was on my. Well, actually, I was at a dinner before a wedding the next day.
Gotcha.
I raced Thursday night.
How'd that go?
Do we have to talk about that? No.
Nope, I guess we don't. That's fine.
It's it was really rough. We drew 59 out of 60.
Oh.
Started dead last in the heat race, in probably the best heat race they had. They only had 35 cars there, and it was probably the hardest heat race you could have pulled. And I started last, couldn't even keep up when they dropped the green flag with the other guys, and finished last in that. Went out in the B main, started last in that, which was like 16th. They took 9. I think I was up to 10th in the B main, and I think I finished. No, I'm sorry. I think they took. What'd they take? I think they took 6. Yeah, they took 6 cars. I finished like 8th. And I was up to 7th at one point. I think I was really surprised. I was really surprised because there was a lot of. I mean, they only took 5 out of the heat race, and there was 9 cars in the heat race. So there was 4 of us from my heat race, which I already couldn't keep up with. That I had to race again in the B main to make the race. So I really didn't expect to make it, but I was close. Just ended up a little bit short. So we pretty much ended our season with a DNF, or DNS, DNQ, whatever you want to call it. So that was a great way to end the year.
So do you guys have any more races coming up at all this year?
There's a race Sunday at Bridgeport that we were talking about, but I'm not really feeling trying to run Sunday, not after the pitiful showing we had at Georgetown the other day. So I don't really want to go up there and just be frustrated all day just to have to get up early the next day after running like crap anyway. But who knows? We're not completely out on that. I think we're probably not going to run by this point because we haven't started really working on getting stuff ready. But I mean, we had a top 5 up there earlier this year, but that was a surprise. And that's really the only thing we've had to look forward to all year long. We haven't had a very good year at all as far as luck has just been awful. We started in the back a lot of times from bad draws, and in the crate class that I run, draws just kill you. You start in the back, you can't hardly pass. I mean, even the best cars out there, which honestly I don't think we're that far off most nights. I think we're lacking a little horsepower, but we've got a bone stock motor that came out of the crate, whereas these other guys have these race prepped and dynoed motors that, if nothing else, if they're not doing anything to them illegal at least, then they've at least been gone through and picked out as like the best of the best out of the box, so they're still probably better than what we have because we just got whatever we got.
Any damage to your car from this weekend? You good?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't really. I think I touched Nerf bars with somebody going down the back stretch at one point, and that was the only car I touched all night because I wasn't fast enough to get in anybody's way. I think.
Well, that's good at least. I mean, at least you got some less stuff to work on in the off season.
Yeah, it was definitely not the worst thing that could have happened, but
Yeah.
it would have been nice to you know actually make the race at least. It would have been one of those things though. You make the race, you start in the back of the feature. The track was it wasn't really as bad on tires as we thought it was going to be, but it was going to be hard to pass again. So it was going to be another deal where you probably just start and park before it was over with.
That's good. I mean, a bummer of a race, but at least you got something to start, working on to next year with a pretty clean car. I mean,
Yeah, we'll get a new body made up and get. I don't know. We'd like to get a new motor, but we'll see what happens. And then I don't know. I want to try coils next year. My dad thinks we should try running bars, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna try to convince him to go to coils. I just think it's what we need to be on now.
sweet. So back to iRacing real quick. There's tons of news in NASCAR this week, but obviously we have not done much of streaming as far as myself here due to illness in the family and whatnot, and hopefully I can keep from getting it, knock on wood. But Friday night, so we were running Triple Threat. Great race again. They ended up doing Xfinity, or not Xfinity, I'm sorry, Legacy Texas, which I love way more than the new Texas. But remember, I think 2 days before we actually held the race, I think on Wednesday or maybe even Tuesday, I sent you guys a video testing, and within 20 minutes it was too dark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that happened again. They ended up having to cut the race short, and boy, did that really screw some people over.
Oh, that's right.
Well, I looked up because my stream, my OBS, is up on my fourth screen above, and I don't really pay attention to that. But I looked at that, and I was wondering what people are watching, and it's pitch black. Nothing.
Yeah, I remember when you. I think you were streaming it or something, and like we could. I think we could see, but you couldn't, or vice versa. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see, you couldn't. Like, that's what it was. Like, I could barely see, but looking at by the time it gets to the OBS, it was terrible. You guys couldn't see. I ended up having to delete it anyway because somebody said something in the beginning. And to those that were watching, well, you guys probably haven't seen it since because I had to delete it. I apologize for what was said. It was deleted, taken care of. We do not support anything like that. I'm not going to bring it up again. It is what it is. It's done with. Sorry. I can't control what other people say. So.
Well, how'd you end up in that race?
Well, that's the thing, is I worked my way back up to second after having a brush with the wall. Caution came out, I went into pit. Started back far, and then all of a sudden we ran a little bit, got dark. Another caution came out, and I was still in the back of the field, and that's when they decided to call it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that hurt, and I felt bad for Caleb. Caleb was leading the race. Went into the pits, and it screwed him. He ended up like dead last.
That's lovely.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good race all season, and then because of that, and they apologized. They're like, sorry, I mean, we set up wrong, which we've all done. So I'm not mad at them for it. It's just really frustrating, especially for an event like that. But we're still second in points. We've increased our lead on third, and I think we decreased the gap between myself and second and first, Garrett Sidner. So, making some ground.
How'd Kevin end up?
I think he ended up pretty far back, too. I'd like to ask him. I forgot. But if I remember correctly, he got screwed as well.
Sounds like a grand old time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the incident in the wall for me was kind of my fault. I overdrove the turn, but God, that track is so much better than the new Texas. So.
Well, on a lighter note from league racing for the week, you didn't get to make the Monday night race, but
You beat me to it.
we we ran we ran Bristol in the trucks. It was 150 laps, and Corey and I raced with Ian and Ogden like was it 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
on Saturday, and I mean it wasn't the exact same setup, I'm sure, but we ran that race, and I was some kind of terrible. I don't know what my problem was. I couldn't figure the track out, couldn't figure anything out. Bounced off the wall a couple times. It was the same kind of setup as our league is with one fast repair. So once I pretty much wrecked myself to having multiple laps of repairs needed, I just backed out. But um, so we went into Monday night, and I'm sitting there like Corey's not racing. Ian said he wasn't going to be there because Ian's in that league. Um, I'm trying to think. I guess we got Chief USN from Twitch. We got him on there. Scott Baker, he's running with us, and we got him in there. He was gonna run, so I was like, all right, well if he shows up, I'll race because I don't want to leave him by himself. Because we ran another race earlier this season, where it was just the two of us, and I mean it was okay, but it was pretty boring. We got screwed on pitch strategy early on, so it was just a rough race. But I practiced a little bit on Monday beforehand, maybe like an hour, and I was able to get close to the lap. I mean, I was in the lap times that some of the guys that are good, but not usually the fastest truck were running, according to what they said. And I don't know if the track changed, if something changed with the setup for them or what, but I went in there, set fast time in practice, qualified on the pole, led 114 of 150 laps, and won the race.
Hell
Never missed
yeah.
the wall or anything. So it was a wild turnaround. Second win in a row. I'm lost as to what's happening as somebody that doesn't run asphalt typically.
Right? Show off. I hated missing that too because I was really looking forward to running it.
Well, and that's another thing. Ryan didn't show up, so I didn't have to try to beat him because he would have probably smoked me if he'd have been in there.
Yeah, there's some quick people. Ty too, I think. Was he there?
Ty was there. I was faster than him. He was fast on the short runs, but he was overdriving his truck a little bit, smacked the fence towards the end of the first caution didn't come until we were 73 or 74 laps in, something like that.
No
And
kidding.
like we were pretty much halfway. And I don't know if that was the first caution, but the first caution after we had been green for a long time, we might have had a quick caution off the start or something. I don't remember, but uh, yeah, we did have a quick caution there right at the beginning. And I think Ty started second, and he was racing me really hard at the beginning, trying to get the lead. And I mean, track position was pretty key, but I was like, it's 150 laps. If you really got to have the lead this early, go ahead. So I tried to tighten him up, but I didn't try to really, race him hard. He kind of scraped my door a little bit on the inside one lap, and I was like, all right, you got me up off the bottom. You got the run on me. You scraped me. I'm not trying to wreck here. Just go ahead. So he essentially passed me without me letting him go, but I wasn't gonna try hard after we got together a little bit because I didn't figure either one of us wanted to wreck, and
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't trying to wreck me, but it's just racing harder than I was comfortable with at that point because I was struggling with the truck so bad in practice and everything that I didn't think it was gonna make it. So I rode behind him, and maybe if the caution come out at like 72, maybe lap 63, 64, he he smacked the wall a little bit coming off the corner like twice in a row and was catching a lap truck, and I went to the bottom and ended up passing him back, and I led until the caution came out, and I think Ian had gotten the second. I think he got by him as well. And once we had that caution, we pitted, got tires. Tires really weren't that huge. It was another race that tires weren't a big deal, I don't think. I mean, they definitely they made a difference to your lap times. Like my lap times went from I don't know, like a 15.2 to like a 16.5 or something. I mean, we were almost a second slower, but again, I was babying the thing as much as I could the whole race because I didn't want to spin it out. Um, so it was just it was a weird deal. I lost the lead on pit stops once. Somebody, I don't know if they took 2 tires or didn't take tires or what they did, but somehow they came out first. They must have spun their tires on the restart because I drove right by them, and that was the last time I lost the lead. I mean, other than that guy, whoever that, I don't remember who that was. Other than him and Ty leading, I think Ty led like 34 laps total in that one stint. And other than that, I got the lead back and led the whole thing. I mean, most of the time I pulled 2 seconds out on guys. Now, the only real people I think had a good chance were Ian, and I don't remember what happened to him. Something kind of happened to him mid race, kind of jammed him up, and Elliot was really fast getting ready to come up on that middle. Actually, I think he was in that caution at like 73, 74.
Yeah.
And he got totaled. And I think he had already
Oh,
used, I don't know if he'd either used his fast repair or he got wrecked right after that and had to use his, and didn't have one, whatever it was. He didn't make it after that. So those are
damn it.
really the only 2 trucks that had a big run. Now, Jonathan Woods, as usual, he was fast towards the end of the run. He was coming back at us, but we started that last run, and I think he started second on the last restart, which was like 35 to go. I thought he was going to be, close to me and battling hard, but he really, I drove harder than I had the whole race to stay ahead of him, and that was it. Once I got about 2 seconds out, I just started pulling him. I guess he, knew he couldn't close up or whatever, either gave up or wore his stuff out. I don't know.
Damn it. I hate that I missed it, man. Like, I was looking forward to that. And this was like short track glory this weekend. You had that for us on Monday night with the iRacing Warriors League and then Martinsville. And unfortunately, I didn't get to run any Martinsville because of everything that's been going on. So I guess this week's Phoenix. Gateway for Triple Threat this weekend. So that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I haven't ever raced there on. I don't know. The last thing I maybe raced on that or raced that on was possibly like NASCAR Racing 3 or 4, whatever it was on the computer.
The last time I ran there with the BRR Racing, or the Burnt Rubber Racing League. That's Saturday nights. Great league. Those of you listening, check them out. I wish I could run them more often. Unfortunately, with my schedule and everything, it's become difficult. But I sat there, I hit the fastest time, and it was by a large chunk. And I'm not necessarily a fast person, so I was curious how that time compared to the world records. The little, like, iRacing keeps track of all that, right?
Yeah.
Well, I went in there to check it out, and it would have been 12th. If it was an official race, or at least a test session or whatever, it was the 12th quickest ever done on that track in the truck. Boy, was I pissed.
But
I was mad. But hey, it was good to see your Ford sitting there parked on the start-finish line doing your burnouts after that Bristol race, man.
yeah, like I said, it was a lot of fun. When it all came down to it, it was a lot of fun to just a big surprise to be able to win that race, win 2 in a row. I mean, we're you and I both, even if you showed up for every race after we started, we still both would have been very hard pressed to survive the championship with having a shot at winning because we missed the first 2 races before we got into league. But I think I'm fourth in the league right
I
now.
was
But
gonna say you jumped.
yeah, well, I think this week I'm up to fourth. And, it helped a lot with Ryan not racing because I won and he didn't race, but there was only like 13. I don't remember how many cars we had. I think it was only like 13. We didn't have a very big field at all. Um,
You
but
had 15. I'm looking at it now.
okay. So, yeah, when we got done, we had like 5 cars on the lead lap. Like there was nobody really in contention. Um, like I said, I think I don't know what the final results were, but I won by a decent margin when it was over with. I was just cruising. I had no pressure.
I'm trying to look because it says here truck points after Bristol, but it's giving me your Bristol running order. Like, you finished by 3.74 seconds, excuse me. I'm not seeing
Okay.
the overall standings here. I don't know if it's a glitch on their end, unfortunately. I mean, that's what killed me. Like, I looked at it last week after we ran Pocono.
Yeah, I got the season standings on iRacing. It's not up to date on their Discord thing yet.
Okay.
So right now, Jonathan Woods is leading. He has one win. He's got 293 points. I'm fourth with 226, and I believe the most you can make up in a race is 40. So not impossible, but highly improbable with 3 races left because Jonathan Woods is almost always in the top 5.
Well, I thought it was funny after Pocono, you finished first, I finished second. I was 16th going in, and when I left, I was 16th. When
And
you left,
he only dropped one spot for not even racing.
yeah, but I didn't gain anything for finishing second the week before, where
Yeah, I
you
don't
won it
understand that.
and you jumped like from like 15th or 17th. I know we were one off from each other the week before to like 7th, and I'm like, wait a minute, what happened here?
Yeah, I really don't understand how that works, but
I don't either.
yeah, right now with missing that race, this is the first race that Ryan Pittman's missed, I believe. He is second. He's got 257 points, so he's 36 points back. Rick Sousa is third. He's got 235. Depending on how these next 3 races go, I feel like I'm looking at like a top 3 at best.
Good.
I mean, I really don't think I'm going to be able to catch Jonathan Woods or Ryan Pittman if they're there for both races.
But for somebody that's not used to running asphalt or doesn't necessarily like it, to come into a league where people do consistently and to place top 3, even top 5, would be incredible.
Oh yeah, especially missing 2 races to start it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that have missed races. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that if they were there for every race, I probably wouldn't be this good in points in the first place. But, really the only guys that are in front of me at this point have pretty much been there every race.
Oh man, God, sometimes it's hard doing this at night, dude.
And the funny part is winning that race put me in with 3 other guys. There's 2 guys. There's I think John DeRugis and Ryan Pittman are the only 2 that have won 2 races besides me. I believe there might be a 4th guy.
Be interesting to see how it turns out. I'm looking forward to joining them next week. Hopefully I can beat you so I can catch up. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're talking about. They did update the points. I don't know what this is about.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Huh. Yeah, well, I think he uploaded the wrong.
Yeah,
he
did just the race, not the entire season. The series standings.
Let's click on the season points thing and see if it has it. Yeah, okay. If you click on the one for truck points after Pocono, it's right.
All right. That's what I'm looking at. I got it pulled up here, and it's just literally the last race.
Did you click on the one that's truck points after Pocono?
Yeah. Oh, I said truck points after Bristol.
Yeah. The truck points after Pocono goes to the points thing. The other one's for the race.
Oh, I see. So they didn't put. Yeah, and I only lost 1 spot for not even being able to show up.
Yeah, it's squirrely. Oh, see here. This doesn't even match iRacing. I'm confused now. Here it shows I'm behind Ty Bostic, so now I'm lost.
Well, as far as NASCAR goes this week, though, man, I don't know if you saw, but I sent you guys a picture. So what I did was I went through all the records for each of the 4 drivers in each series. And I had to do a little math myself. We'll start with the trucks, since the Cup, we have a lot to talk about. So we got Chandler Smith, Zane Smith, Ty Majeski, and Ben Rhodes. Their average finishes for Phoenix in their current series, okay, all this is based on their current series, not anything else. Chandler Smith has the best with a second place overall. Zane Smith with a 3.5. Ben Rose with a 9.28 average finish. And Ty Majeski has no starts at Phoenix with the Truck Series. So, based on that information, plus, okay, so the yearly average, Chandler Smith 9th, Zane Smith 8th, Ty Majeski with an average of 9.63, and Ben Rhodes with an average finish of 13.4. Did you ever decide who your pick was to take the championship?
Just gonna take a shot in the dark on this one and say Ty Majeski. I really don't know for truck.
All right, Ty Majeski with a decent average finish this year, 3rd overall in the average finishes. Goes to Greg. I am taking Chandler Smith. Based mainly on he's 2nd overall in the year average of 9th place, but he has a average of 2nd place at Phoenix. I think he's pretty good there. We'll see.
Which truck is he again?
Zane Smith? Or
Chandler Smith.
The one that finishes on average 2nd? I can't remember. I don't watch the truck.
See, I don't remember what truck it is, but...
See, like, I would love to watch racing more. My wife just tolerates it. I don't really want to put her through every single race every day. He drives the 18 truck, it looks like. I might be wrong. Somebody go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, it's the 18 truck.
Yeah. So that takes care of that. I've got Chandler Smith. You've got Ty Majeski. Head-to-head there. We'll see who wins out on that one.
Zane Smith's a 38. That's what I thought. I knew one of them was a 38 truck. I just couldn't remember which one it was.
Okay, so Xfinity Series.
I don't need to explain anything. I can tell you who's going to win this. It's going to be Gregson.
You think Gregson?
I'm not saying I want him to win, but that's who's going to win. Dude wants it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here it is. You got Noah Gregson, you got Josh Berry, you got Justin Allgaier, and you got Jesus himself, Ty Gibbs. Average finish.
He's going to be lucky if he finishes this race, is all I know.
Yeah. I have my... I was always hesitant on the kid. I'm sorry, he lost. He lost me, man. They say he's going to have punishments for what he did at Martinsville. I'll believe it when I see it. His ass shouldn't be fucking driving.
His penalties better be Brandon. Was it Brandon Jones?
Yep, his own teammate.
Yeah, his own teammate. It better be his own teammate stuffing his butt in the fence. Yep. If it was me, I don't care what Mr. Gibbs says.
And his teammate, Brandon Jones, has no allegiance to that group next year. So if I was him, I'd fucking do it. All day. Because this is his last race with Gibbs. He's going to Junior Motorsports, I believe. I think he's going to Junior Motorsports.
Well, and okay, so that makes more sense because I heard somebody today talk about it, saying he should take him out, and if he takes both of them out, it guarantees a Junior Motorsports driver wins the championship.
Pretty much.
So
pretty much, add some fuel to the fire right there. Like, I'm sorry, and the way that Ty got out of the car afterwards and basically threw it in everybody's faces, like, non-verbally. Like, fuck yeah, I did it. Cheer me up, whatever. Dude, no, you need to swallow your teeth. That was a bullshit move. That was crappy to do. You don't deserve a ride, at least in the upper echelon. I mean, go back to Mario Kart, you turd.
All it takes is your name anymore, and your money. It's name, money, or being the best that year as a female or something, and hoping that you survive past that, because odds are you bring money to the table.
Oh, well, Joe Gibbs says that there's going to be punishments. His dad, Ty Gibbs' dad, made a statement saying this is not what we wanted for our group. We were all upset by this, blah, 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 blah. It was all very PR-esque. But
here's this issue. I don't know if you watched the junior, like, the Dale Jr. download thing where they talk to Ty Gibbs, but he tries to portray himself as being apologetic of some of this stuff and realizing that he's screwed up and needs to,
I saw that.
make a better name for himself. And then he just goes out and does this stuff the next race. I mean,
Yep.
this wasn't literally the next race, but, theoretically speaking, it might as well be. Like, you're wrecking your own teammate. You didn't just, move him. You just wrecked him.
And he was still on the straightaway, pretty much running into the dude. Like, Brennan Jones was out of the throttle, getting ready to roll in, and he just sent it in there and just, like, it buckled Ty's hood. You didn't even try to slow down, dude.
Listen, I don't know. Ty Gibbs, the problem with him, he's just completely in that spoiled brat phase.
Exactly.
And there's nothing going to stop him until Joe sits him down, and that's just not going to happen, I don't think. And the only thing they can hope for is that somebody hires Carl Edwards to come back and turn him over at Atlanta and see if he changes his driving style then, like Brad said he wouldn't, but he did.
I would love to see Cousin Carl come back, man. I would love to see him. Man, oh, God, you just made me cry up.
I'm sorry for bringing up a bad memory. I know you're
No, Carl, man, he was a good dude, man. I like that guy. Except what he did to Brad.
Well, I was perfectly fine with that. I was more than happy to see that happen, but as long as he was okay, because obviously the Atlanta thing was a little rough. But
yeah, that was close.
When all that went down, I just thought it was hilarious that Keselowski's like, "Yeah, my sponsors don't want me to change," and then I've never seen him run somebody over like that again.
Well, a lot of people, I know a lot of people in that argument, it's like, oh, Brad dumped him at Talladega on purpose. And I was like, looking at it in slow motion and over again, the beginning of that, I don't think he did it on purpose. He stuck his nose in there. Carl came down. He admitted he came down. And then from there on, Carl started wrecking him. I don't agree with Carl on all that shit. But
no, I mean, that wasn't what started it. I don't remember what the wreck was, but I don't even think the Talladega thing was what.
No, there was one before that.
Issues.
It was an Xfinity race, and I can't remember where it was, but Brad dumped him going down the back. And even looking at that one, I remember it. I can't remember where it's at.
Yeah, that one I think Brad just straight dumped him, and the Talladega thing was like a racing deal. Like,
yeah,
it was, whatever. It's Talladega.
Yeah. Shit happens. So, going back to Xfinity for this next week at Phoenix, going by the numbers, you're saying Noah Gragson. His average finish at Phoenix is 11.7. Jesus Gibbs, his average is 4th with 2 starts. Josh Berry finished 3rd this season. Earlier, his average finish is 19.5 with only 2 starts. And Justin Allgaier, 23 starts at Phoenix, average of 9th. I'm torn between Gibbs because he's consistent. He's doing, well, no, I guess I can't say that either. Okay, I'm going Justin Allgaier. Looking at it again, Allgaier for me.
I think that's a safe bet. I wouldn't be surprised to see Allgaier win. I just think, I mean, you can see where my pick for the Cup Series is going to be by me saying that I think Gragson probably just wants it.
So we're going to have to get with Kevin on the outside of this, unfortunately, because he's not here, but get his picks and see who wins. We'll have to put something up between the three of us. Be like, all right, the winner gets what from each of us? I'd say a 6-pack of beer, but we don't live close enough to each other to get beer.
Nope.
Damn, we'll have to figure something out. So at least we're not picking the same dude. Now to the big one, Cup. Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, and Logano. Before we do this, I have got to say, this season with Christopher Bell, he had to win to get into the round of 8, and he had to win to get into the championship, and he did it both times. Very impressive on that young man. Awesome job, Christopher Bell. However, I'm going with Ross Chastain. That dude just showed us that he does not give a shit. He wants it bad. All season, since we've been doing this, since I've talked to you guys, I've been sitting here debating, do I stick with Brad? Man, he's not showing me what I want out of a driver. Yes, he drives a Ford. I wish him the best my loyalty to a manufacturer is what's keeping me from going all in on Trackhouse racing. Well, guess what? Now I'm all Ross Chastain. He's my driver. I'm picking him to win it. Who you got, Greg?
Gonna pick Chastain.
We are both going Chastain?
Well, like I said,
You can.
my idea with Gregson is I think he has showed with his crazy driving that he's had over the year that he, wants to get it, and clearly Chastain is in that ballpark. I mean, he's shown it all year as well. He's made moves that a lot of guys question. That, you know, you look at it. Sometimes he just flat ran some people over, but the deal at Martinsville was wild. I think that pumped up the whole team. Just he was out. He was 100% out. No chance.
He was out before he hit the wall in 3. I mean,
and then here he comes out and makes it. And I mean, you might as well just hit a walk-off home run and pump the team up to win Game 7. I don't know. I just think I'm not. I'm a Ford guy too, but I'm not as big on worrying about the manufacturer when it comes to the drivers and stuff. I think Chastain's going to be tough to really deal with. I mean,
he will put the bumper to you. You better hope you have a gap, whoever's in front of him, because I tell you what, when it comes down to the end of it, he will use that shit. And I damn sure hope he does, because I want him to win this.
I mean, listen, Bell has shown that he's capable of winning when he needs to, but I don't know. It's hard to say at Phoenix. I mean, I don't keep up with it enough to say, much about who runs better there, nor does it really matter sometimes who ran good there the last time they were there. It comes down to the chase race and everything. It's like, all right, could be anybody.
Yeah, I mean, for the Cup Series, I mean, I did all the math and everything. As far as Phoenix goes, there is a bit of a gap there. Chastain with a 20.5 average finish, Chase Elliott with a 10.69, Christopher Bell with a 17.4, and Logano with a 12.28. That's just Phoenix. If you look over the whole season, they're all very close. Ross Chastain season finish average is a 12.85. Chase Elliott with 12.02. Christopher Bell with a 13.97. And Joey Logano with a 13.82. I got to say, for a second pick, if Ross Chastain doesn't get it, again, I'm a Ford guy, but I got to go with my man Christopher Bell this week for a second pick, and here's the reason why. For him to have the championship series that he's had to win to make it to the 8. He's had to win to make it to the 4. For him to cap that off would be probably one of the biggest stories of the season, I think. Like, it's just incredible. And I was actually there for both of them, too, at the track, and it was just an amazing thing to watch.
It would definitely be a big story. If I was picking a second person to be Chase Elliott, I just think he's
got a good bandwagon.
He's been there, done that.
Yeah.
And when it really matters and he needs to show up, it seems like he shows up just enough. Now, what I will guess, I'm just going to take a wild one on this one. I don't think a Chase guy is going to win the race. I think it'll be somebody else.
Do you think it's going to be somebody new, or do you think we'll get our 20th?
I feel like I wouldn't be surprised to see Larson win.
True. Yeah. I'd like to see a 20th winner, honestly. First time in history.
I wouldn't be against it, but I don't know.
So one thing I did do, because this season with the new cars, of course everybody's learning, this is a clean slate for everybody. Going back and looking at what they did in the spring, Ross Chastain with the next gen car finished 2nd. Chase Elliott finished 11th. Christopher Bell finished 26th. And Joey Logano finished 8th. So that gives you an idea of who knows how to drive this car already on Phoenix. Things are going to be different. People have learned things. But I still got to give it to Ross Chastain. I tell you what, I'm about to go get a Trackhouse tattoo. Not really, but I'm about to. Those both of them, love them. Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, awesome.
They've definitely shown that they're powerhouse team with the rest of them this season. I mean, it's been
For a new
I
team.
I don't know who in their right mind would have been able to, show you that that was going to be the turnout by the end of the season. I mean, I don't even know if Justin Marks himself would have sat there and told you that he really expected them to be racing for the championship from Phoenix.
It was just, especially for them being such a new team, and that for them to come out and dominate, like not dominate, but to perform like they have.
Even like they bought out Ganassi, but Ganassi wasn't even that good. The only guy that was good on Ganassi really was Larson.
Yep. Yep.
And when he left, they didn't, they weren't able to repeat the results that Larson could give them, and it really just reinforced what anybody that watched Larson, liked Larson, saw was that Larson, yeah, he would wreck sometimes, and yeah, he would do a few stupid things, but it was because he's having to drive the car so over its limits in order to succeed in the thing. And meanwhile, the rest of Ganassi is just like running 20th.
Ganassi really never did have many good runs except for when Larson was there, really, as far as I can remember.
Not consistently. He
No.
might have a freak good run here or there. I mean, honestly, Juan Pablo wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember who was there. So when Sterling Marlin was running for him, it was technically, I guess it wasn't. Was it? Wasn't it Sabat? Like, wasn't it Felix Sabates and Ganassi? Weren't they connected?
Uh, you actually stumped me on that one.
I don't know. I might be wrong. Sterling Marlin might not have run for that team. Uh, I was thinking that they were connected, but they might not be. Are you serious? Sorry, this baseball game. They just hit a batter and walked in a run.
Damn. Obviously, I'm watching. So, all right, just on the interest of time here, you remember the other day, and those of you listening, check it. I know we are a small channel. We are trying to grow. We're trying to do a good thing here and trying to help out veterans in need, and we've succeeded. Last week, we gave our first donation, $111.91 to the Master Sergeant Stuckey fundraiser by the 1111 Veterans Project. Thank you all for helping us out with that. We've got it done. We've been looking for support, and Greg, yesterday you asked me if I had talked to Racing for Heroes, and I hadn't yet, but I did get in contact with them, and I got an email back, dude. I have to have a meeting with somebody, and we're going to talk about it.
Nice.
So we are looking for support for the channel. Anybody out there willing to help us out, do some great things for veterans, please let us know. We are definitely looking for some new equipment, like some microphones or anything like that, to help us communicate better and do this. Thank you very much, Racing for Heroes, for just at least contacting me back. 1111 Veterans Project, thank you guys for helping us out. Moving on, though. Greg, what else you got, man? I mean, I know I had something I wanted to talk about that kind of sits in my heart a little heavy.
I don't know that I have anything really serious.
Well, this weekend, I went to the race. I went to Martinsville, had really good seats, and I was happy where I was at because it was where they're out of the throttle. It would be a little, it was still loud, but it'd be a little quieter because I was supposed to take my daughter, Abby, she's 6 years old, almost 7. God, she was reminding me of it earlier. She's like counting down to her birthday, but she got sick, and it got to a point where I was actually trying to give the tickets away to like a neighbor down the street who's never been to a race and his son, but they couldn't do it, and I ended up going, but taking another friend of mine who's never been to a race. He is now a NASCAR fan. He went shopping and bought a bunch of shirts and shit. He loved it. But I was sitting there and I actually got teared up, and I'm not afraid to admit this. I love my kids, and my daughter was like counting down, Daddy, many more days to race? How many more days? Like, Daddy, 2 more days. Daddy, 3 more days. You know, she's doing that. When the green flag dropped, I was actually really upset. Like, even though I'm taking this guy to the race, he's never been to a race before, and I got to show him this experience and share it with him, and now I made him a fan. God, I missed having my daughter there. You know, I was young going to racetracks myself. I actually got to go into the pits a lot when I was younger, and I wish I could share that with her. So next year I'm going to take her. But the main topic I wanted to look at is how young is too young. And here's my issue. We were it was quieter in our area. We were in turn 1, they're not in the gas as much. It's still loud, and there's a woman in front of us who's obviously annoyed to be there, not wanting to be. No, we're not all fans, but sometimes we do stuff for our loved ones that, you know, put her in precarious situations or places we don't want to go. I'm saying this baby that she was bottle feeding hadn't been more than 1 or 2 months old. How young is too young?
Yeah, I see this kind of thing with dirt racing a lot, where you'll have kids and dogs and all that stuff that they just don't need to be around super loud stuff to me.
No.
And I don't know. I mean, listen, I was going to the races in the womb, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't there when I was fresh out, and it could bother me that I don't know. I mean, the biggest thing is you got to have hearing protection for the kids. If you have hearing protection, I mean, if you feel like bringing them there, I feel like it's all right if they're maybe a year or two old, but like I don't know if they're not even a year old. I don't know what the point is. Like they shouldn't be there for the sounds. They're not going to remember it. The only thing that they're there for is for you to say, "Oh yeah, we took you to your first race when you were way too young to remember it or anything." So, I don't know.
Yeah, but a lot of like local tracks and stuff. I mean, it can get loud, especially when you get the modifieds or the late models or whatever. But I mean, there's something like NASCAR is just so much louder, and this baby cried a lot, and I can't blame it. I mean, I say it because I don't know the gender. Forgive me, people. I'm not gonna assume, but oh my God, it's just no, dude, that's too young. And obviously, the wife didn't want to be there, and the husband was sitting there smoking cigarettes and, oh, sit down. It's like, come on. Like, I uncalled for, honestly.
Yeah,
I'll get off my soapbox on that one. I don't know. I can't wait to take my daughter, though. She can't wait to go. She was upset, but she was really sick. So,
yeah, that's a shame.
it is. I don't know, maybe we'll hit a local track at some point or something, but she really, as much as I hate to admit it, she's like, Daddy, I want the, what's she got? The MMM's car. MMM's. And I was like, that's Kyle Busch. You're not supposed to. All right, go ahead and like him.
That's okay. She won't have to next year.
Yeah. Well, I told my wife, I was like, I was thinking about getting her a shirt, but I was like, that'd be pointless because next year it's like one more race. He's done. And this race, I don't know if you saw, but like Kyle Busch was way off, like to a point that we could notice from the stands that he was off. And I looked at my friend Dennis, who was next to me. I was like, dude, there's something wrong with Kyle, the 18 car. And then I found out, I think yesterday, that they had actually radioed his team and said, look, y'all are below minimum speed. If you can't get it up, you have to park it. So, boy, that sounds bad too, if you can't get it up.
Yeah. So did you end up finishing?
Kyle ended up finishing, but I think he was quite a few laps down. Like, he looked bad. Coming past us, like, as far as I know, there was no contact, but he was rolling by us, and he was purposely going off the concrete and the asphalt where kind of towards the upper side of the track, just letting people go. Apparently, his car was so loose that I mean, and there's some rumor and there's everything else that people are saying, like if you're not top tier at Joe Gibbs, you're basically just a source of revenue. Well, once Kyle Busch announced his departure, he's been having a rough go at it, which in a way I can understand, but it's just unfortunate that it has to be that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty evident that they're not giving him the top quality equipment,
Yeah.
the research and development that he really was getting when he was their driver. As soon as he said he was leaving, he's definitely fell off the cliff. I mean, not just a wagon; he fell in the Grand Canyon. It seems like. I mean, you could tell there's no way that Joe was going to let Kyle Busch be the guy that won them their 200th race.
Well, I saw them put like a 200 sticker on the 20 car of Christopher Bell. Is that
Yeah,
what's going on? They're looking
yeah.
at winning their 200th.
It was their 200th win.
Was it? Okay. See, I missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, Kyle Busch said he wanted to win their 200th race before he left, just kind of as a, final little
Yeah.
went away present. And I'm pretty sure that's when Joe was, I'm sure he got the bigger of or the smaller of their restrictor plates or whatever they run now with their fuel injection. His fuel injection's turned down a little bit.
Oh, that could be it too. He said apparently this week though it was a lot of setup as far as loose, and you could tell too because a couple times he was damn near sideways in front of us in turn one.
They just forgot to tell him they didn't hook the track bar up tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I did see something that you said though, and I meant to ask you about it. Race length. Are you talking about like you were talking about like race lengths as far as what NASCAR or
Yeah, yeah.
what do you think? They're too long or what?
Well, I was in a Twitch channel today, and we kind of got into discussion, and I thought it was a good topic for us to talk about at some point. Is just with younger kids. I mean, let's face it, racing as a whole is it has a very minimal following when it comes to kids. These days, you don't see a whole lot of kids at the races. You see a lot of guys that are probably retired age. I mean, much too old to become a race car driver at this point. There's there's the bunch that is in our age range where they could race if they wanted to, but they're going to be out of their prime already most likely, and
Yeah.
just it'd be tough to start then. Um, there's the kids that are in go-karts and stuff, sure, but like I don't know. It's just to me when I go to the races, I see some little kids that their parent, their dad might bring them to the race or something, but like I don't see kids talking about this stuff all the time. I don't see, just I've been racing for 3 years and I hardly ever see kids that are just in the pits trying to talk to any driver that'll talk to them, going to get autographs. All you see a few of them, but they're only there for the guys that are winning. They could care less about the rest of the people. To me, it used to be like when I was a kid, man, I didn't care if it was the guy that won. I had a favorite driver or I had people I liked, and I didn't care if they finished dead last that night. I was going to go talk to them, try to get an autograph, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that anymore. So my whole thing is trying to figure out, what I think, evidently NASCAR, we were talking about the chase and their, playoffs and all that with how they're trying to bring, spectators back in for that. And obviously it's worked. You're gonna, you have that debate of the people that like the way it was and, a real championship versus this playoff thing. And I don't know. It makes it exciting, but it's it's one of those things where it's clearly forced excitement. If you let it go, that wouldn't be there the whole season. And that's what's odd about racing is there's not many types of racing where if you really let it play out, it ends up super close at the end. Usually somebody figures things out mid-season and kind of runs away with it by 2 or 3, 4 races to go. And yeah, you have a little bit of viewership fall off, and you don't, you always have playoffs and all that stuff in other sports, but it's always an odd thing with racing because you're not talking about two guys out, you're not talking about two teams out there racing against just each other. They're not playing against just each other. Nobody else out there to interfere. Just the two that matter. It's everybody out there. They have to deal with everybody, and you or I could be out there and completely ruin their race for no apparent reason other than we screwed up and wrecked them, and they did nothing wrong other than just be on the track with us.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part of how the NASCAR playoff system works. Now, granted, that doesn't happen a whole lot, but it's also because you know full well that most of these teams are multiple cars. They have people that are, telling them you better not run over this playoff driver or, you're going to be in trouble. So they're trying to be careful. But it's also kind of just that's what I don't like about it when it comes to the playoff thing is the fact that the other guys have to be on their tiptoes around the playoff guys, whether it be their teammate or whatever. They've got to be careful around that guy more than anybody else, which means they can't race as hard as they should be racing to try to win all the time if they're around that playoff guy and they don't just either let him go or whatever all the time. But the bigger part of that debate was when it comes to like dirt racing, I hear a lot more people say they're willing to go watch a dirt race or watch a local race or something that's at most 100 laps versus 400 laps. Like when I go to a NASCAR race now, oh, I haven't been in years, but if I go to a NASCAR race, 400 laps, dude, I can't sit there but watch but 100 laps, go do something else for the middle 200 and come back. Because usually those middle 200 are like watching paint dry. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, you might have one lap that there's a stage ending and it's like, okay, let's see who tries to wreck each other for this lap. And then it's over and there's nothing to watch. It's just, I don't know. To me, I know the reality of why NASCAR has the long races. I know that's historically a thing. I just wonder in the generation of TikTok and all these things that are 3-minute videos and I mean, dude, you know it better than I do watching kids cartoons, but you watch any of that
Ugh.
stuff, it changes screens every 15 seconds, if that.
Ad nauseum.
It's like how do you expect anybody to sit there for 4 or 5 hours and in the same spot watching these guys run circles around this track without getting bored? I mean, yeah, they might battle for 20 laps and then they let each other go because guess what? They're on the track and they know you can't win by wrecking on the first 50 laps.
See,
So you got to be there.
and I feel like to me that's where I'm opposite because uh, I guess maybe I'm just so thankful to be there and like it's not just about them racing. I love the smell. I love the sound. Like this weekend I never put earplugs or headphones on. Like I love it. If I go deaf, I'll learn sign language. Uh, which I won't. But to me, it's just the experience altogether, and I will sit there. And but yes, for my kids and all that other stuff, like I said, taking my daughter and whatnot. How am I going to get her to sit there for 500 laps at Martinsville? This is coming spring, May 28th, I think the race is. You can come down and join us, dude. My father-in-law and I are going to the 600. Like that's a long time to be sitting there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, your case, you change tracks, you do some different stuff. That makes a big difference. I mean,
yeah.
my experience is typically going to Dover, and it's like, all right, especially in the time frame that I was going to Dover, is pretty much like Jimmy Johnson wins about every race.
Oh yeah.
So you know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. He's probably starting on the pole, and he's probably going to lead 300 or 400 laps, and the other guys might lead 15 or 20 when he hits pit road under green and has to get his lap back. It's
Bingo.
that's where I had the issues.
Speaking of Jimmy Johnson, I don't have it up anymore. You brought it up earlier. What was that about Jimmy Johnson? That just like breaking news, like right now within the last hour. Go ahead with that. That'll be our
So,
last thing.
according to Twitter, Jordan Bianchi says, news, Jimmy Johnson is finalizing a deal to obtain an ownership stake within the Petty GMS organization starting in 2023. Sources close to Johnson and Petty GMS have told The Athletic. Johnson will also drive and select races for the team, and an announcement is expected this week. So you've got 7-time and 7-time looking
Hell
for an 8th time.
yes. I would love to see Jimmy Johnson back in action in some way, shape, or form in NASCAR. That dude, in himself, is a legend. I love the guy. I mean, I've never been a Hendrick fan, but he's good. You got to give him that.
Oh, I certainly never said he wasn't good. He got a lot of free passes along the way, I feel like, with stuff NASCAR would do with random debris cautions when he needed to make a green flag pit stop and stupid stuff, but Jimmy never allowed himself to not be in a position where that's all he needed
Yep.
to completely dominate a race. It was never, oh, he got this debris caution and that's what gave him the win. It was that let him keep dominating the race. And yeah, it made it so he didn't have to pit and give anybody else a shot at passing him, but he was never behind him in the first place when those things happened usually.
No, and when it came down to it with championships, like either he was winning it or something terrible happened. Like for instance, when Brad Keselowski won his championship in 2012, it was him versus Brad pretty much. And I think the only reason Brad got it was because Jimmy had a rear end go out. Brad finished the race one lap down in 17th place and still won the championship because Jimmy's car was in the garage on jack stands.
Here's the trouble with Jimmy's points championships. I think, I don't remember what the exact numbers are, but it was something like he should have only won like 2 if they didn't have the chase come in his era.
Yeah.
Because every one of his championships were during the chase. Now, everybody was racing with the same thing. Not arguing that point, not trying to take away from it, other than the fact that it really, at the end of the day, Jimmy is one of the best drivers that we've seen. But
Yep.
if you really want to get down to the complete comparison of which of the 7-time champions is the best, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that Jimmy's in the same caliber as Dale and Richard when you look at what their championships consisted of having to do. Now, granted, I think Petty's championships, personally, I think those are a little bit of a asterisk themselves because you and I both know the quality of cars back then was not what it is now. They were not even. You might have
pit lane speed limit is
4
50
guys
miles
in
per
a
hour.
46 car field or something that were actually worthwhile. You know, they were competitive, but you know, they may have ran 70 races in a year and he still won. And they ran dirt and asphalt and everything else. I mean, you know, if David Pearson and the Wood brothers had run full seasons, Petty would have been struggling to make 7 championships. But it didn't matter. He got 7 championships. That's the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, you can put an asterisk next to it and say, based on this generation of car, this type of point system. I mean, the drivers nowadays, especially like Jimmy Johnson's area now today, the drivers don't really work on the cars. Where back then, Petty and Earnhardt pretty much had to build their cars.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was never a big Earnhardt fan until like I started to like Earnhardt like right before he got killed because he finally had calmed down. He was starting to be a normal person and you know act like he wasn't the greatest thing there ever was, and you know he's getting out of the track as soon as it was done, and no, it wasn't giving autographs to anybody, he wasn't going to talk to anybody, all that mess. When it comes down to it, the caliber of competition, the consistency of what races they ran, all of those things combined, to me, I would have a hard time saying he's not the most impressive of the 7-time champions to me, because everything was you know, it was mostly as competitive as Jimmy's time, but he didn't have the chase to help him or hurt him, whichever way you want to look at it. I mean, the chase could hurt you, sure. If you had a bad day in the chase, all of a sudden you were in trouble. Whereas if you ran the whole season and the points never went away, you could have it locked up with 7 races to go or something, and it, you could not even show up and be fine. But I don't know. To me, it's hard to compare those two.
Yeah.
In reality.
No, it's almost hard to compare any of them just because the way things are compared to what they were.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think you can begin to compare Petty and Earnhardt or Jimmy. I mean, it's just they're in whole nother zip codes as far as what their championships consisted of.
But watch out though now, Ross Chastain's just getting started. That's my thing.
Yeah, the one that I'm really surprised by that wasn't that amazing this year was Larson. I mean, he's been good certain times, but I really expected him to completely dominate with this new car that was more driver friendly.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by it too.
Or I should say less driver friendly, but more driver dependent.
Well, man, I think we did pretty good tonight. I think we got it for the evening.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, just to let you know, too, I mean, I know I've been talking to you a little bit, and those of you out there, we are looking for support. And don't forget, again, to send your guys' clips to newmissionmotorsports at newmissionmotorsports@gmail.com, excuse me. Have them featured here on our podcast. We are looking for support. I've sent out like 7 emails looking at different companies and stuff. I am getting responses back, so hopefully we get something there. But other than that, Greg, I hope you have a great night. I think we're going to go ahead and cut it off here. What you think, man? I'm tired.
Yeah, that works for me. I'm sitting here watching the Phillies get their butts kicked. So
yeah, I think I'm about to do some test laps here real quick on a COTA. The GT3's in COTA this week. Maybe I can get a race in there. So you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining us, Greg. I'm going to go ahead and, man, you have a good one. I'll be right back. You guys have a great night. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe. Check us out here on Twitch and again on YouTube. See you guys on Friday, hopefully.